Monday, May 6th, has issued a high risk of severe weather, and it is confirmed that it is causing damage. Again, it's this little area right here. If you are in this area north of Parkham, Now, hello everybody, my name is Christian and welcome back to Skycast, and today we do have some things to talk about, including the switch over to warmer weather as we get into February, and an area of severe weather that we are currently monitoring across portions of the lower Mississippi Valley and into portions of the Gulf states. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, we are going to start off with covering severe weather, and tomorrow we have an area of severe weather across extreme southern portions of Oklahoma and as well as most of central Texas. This does include areas such as Abilene, San Angelo, into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and this is a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk of severe weather, and you can see it highlighted right here, that dark green area. This is an all hazards threat. That threat for a isolated tornado or two, likely a brief one, does exist towards Caryville and north of the Austin area. But as well as that, the more common threat that's going to be associated with this is going to be that damaging wind threat across Waco, the Fort Worth area, down into the North Austin area. And then that hail threat that extends throughout that whole marginal risk area, even into portions of Ardmore, Oklahoma. So this is going to be more of an all hazards threat as we do get a developing QLCS or a linear system. Now, if we are looking on the pivotal weather model, you can see that down here towards portions of Texas, please excuse my drawing, but down here towards portions of Texas, we do have areas of growing thunderstorms, especially that rain showers. But as we get into the 4 and the 5 o'clock Central Standard Time range, you can start to see that convection start firing off across portions of eastern Texas. And eventually, this will continue to grow where we get more of that convection, more that trough continues to push onto the east. We get more of that moisture across portions of central Texas. Those dew points and those temperatures rise throughout the day. And then as we get into the evening and the overnight hours is when storm coverage will continue to rapidly grow into that QLCS system. And then eventually, as we get into the morning hours, we shift over to that direct QLCS threat, that line of storms where we are watching the threat for not only the damaging wind potential to continue on to the east, but an isolated tornado potential as well for anything that can remain either discrete or ahead of that line. And due to that threat, the National Weather Service has issued a slight risk level 2 out of 5 for portions of the Louisiana, eastern Texas, into western Missouri area for Thursday. And this is going to be for kind of an all hazards threat. Once again, that threat for the isolated, maybe a more potent tornado threat for this one due to those prefrontals, if we do get any, as well as that you're going to have more of that damaging wind threat and possibly some small hail threat due to that QLCS being more defined and more well developed. Now, as we start getting into the 31st and areas of this, as this line continues, it would not shock me to see that slight risk maybe get extended into portions of western Alabama, into portions of the New Orleans area of Louisiana, and into the southern Mississippi area, just due to the damaging wind threat. Once again, I don't think this is going to be a huge tornado producer. The facts aren't pointing to it, but we definitely do have this potent MCS, and then eventually this does begin to fizzle off as it moves into central Alabama. We could see a bit of a re-strengthening and maybe even a bit of a smaller and severe weather threat as this continues across North Carolina and South Carolina. Once again, no, I wouldn't say this to be a crazy tornado producer, likely just a damaging wind threat, gusty winds before eventually that just fizzles off on the 1st of February towards the Atlantic. So definitely going to be an active and rainy period. And on top of the severe weather threat, areas into the Ohio Valley will experience these heavier rainfall totals as this low pressure front continues, and could even see, the model right here predicting some freezing rain areas across portions of Kansas. Just depends on the temperature in that area, but we could see a bit of a winter weather threat with this. You can even see some snowier side of this across portions of the Northeast as we get into those cooler temperatures. So definitely something to continue to watch. As we get into portions of February, things should begin to warm up, which we will get into here in just a minute. But we still have a threat for not only severe weather, but a little bit of snow towards the northeast as this continues on. Now, I do want to dive into a little bit on what is causing this severe weather threat, and what directly is causing it is going to be this bad boy right here. This is what is known as somewhat of a trough, and this is expected to continue to strengthen. You can see areas of those reds across portions of Texas, but this is what's going to be driving that area of severe weather, and you can see that right behind that, ahead of this, is where those storms will begin to fire, and this will continue to strengthen as we see that MCS from the reflectivity continue to strengthen as it pushes onto the east. And that will continue to move across the northeast, across portions of Kentucky, and eventually will begin to fizzle out as it moves into portions of the mid-Atlantic region. But this whole troughing system is not only driving our severe weather, but that low pressure system is also what is driving the snow possibility for the northeast. So eventually, as that fizzles out, things should remain calm for a little bit. We do have another area of severe weather that could be possible, but don't want to dive into that just too much just yet. Now, I do want to switch over to the dew points real quick and also show you some of the moisture that we are expecting. Moisture does funnel out of the Gulf of Mexico, and you can see that quite clearly right before this severe event does start, with dew points across central and eastern Texas between the upper 50s into the lower 60s. And then eventually, as that trough moves through, as those storm systems begin to form, you can see that kind of that boundary, that cold front continue to push off to the east. And that moisture continues to funnel out of the Gulf of Mexico, well, Gulf of America, I should say now, forgive me. But that threat should continue, that where that MCS continues, as that moisture continues to funnel out of the Gulf before eventually just that whole system just kind of wipes out into the Atlantic. So definitely a severe weather threat expected. All hazards are still being kind of ironed out, but this is definitely something not to panic about, but something that you should have your tornado threat ready for. Have that tornado plan ready and that severe plan ready just in case you do end up having a warning for your area. Now, as we are looking at the map from the Weather Prediction Center, we can see that a bunch of the US is either going to see above average temperatures or a below average temperatures. And you can see this is kind of how the US is supposed to look like. The south is supposed to be warm, the north is supposed to be cold. But we are expecting to see warmer temperatures, especially across portions of Dixie Alley and even into portions of the southwest where it's especially hot down there. And as well as that, we are also seeing a growth in precipitation once again across portions of the Ohio Valley into Missouri, and then that will continue on for the next few weeks where we are highlighting areas that could be severe weather. So that is also definitely something to monitor, but the first part of portions of February will likely be warm. And due to some people not being snow lovers, and we've had such a snow-filled winter, including a Gulf storm down here towards portions of Texas over to Florida, some people might actually like this warm-up. So besides that, that's all I have for you guys today. I thank you all for choosing Skycast as your go-to weather. We are on the road to 1,000 followers. You can also find me on X, link in the description. Have a great day. Stay safe. Have that tornado plan ready, and I will see you guys in the next one.